Good morning, everyone. Welcome to StudyIQ English. Welcome to the Hindu newspaper class with me. I am Saumya, and like every day, we shall be looking at UPSC relevant articles from the Hindu newspaper, the New Delhi edition. And for today, that's 21st February 2026, I have picked up about 6 articles for us to discuss. And these articles are varied in nature, starting from the editorial page, plus many more global developments for our country. Say, for example, India has finally joined Pax Silica. India has also become an observer in the Gaza peace, the Board of Peace in Gaza, initiated from US. At the same time, we are also looking at India Brazil, as the Brazilian leadership is visiting India with a large delegation. So definitely we will talk about Mercosur. At the same time, we are also looking at Israel Palestine briefly, and therefore we shall have a quick analysis of things like Oslo Accord, Camp David. We shall look at Sinai Peninsula, Golan Heights. All of that is today's agenda. Quite an interesting newspaper, I must say. And then we will end it with a case study. Case study of how Panchayat empowerment can actually lead to attainment of climate goals. All that is the agenda for the day. But before I start, here's the QR code for my channel. And for those who are asking about the Zoom sessions, well, I'm equally excited, more than excitement that you are experiencing. Allow me a little time to work on the protocols, the method regarding the Zoom classes, and you shall be updated about everything on the Telegram. So nothing to worry, you won't miss anything. On Telegram, every clarity, all the process shall be uploaded. Okay, so on that note, here are the 6 articles. I will begin from editorial page like every day. That's page number 10 for today. Gen Z and the dynamics of democratic engagement. It's a beautiful article coming from GS paper 2. We are looking at social issues, typically issues of youth participation, youth empowerment. Then we are also looking at civil society organizations as agents of social change in the world itself. And before I start, let me quickly welcome in today's class all my dear, lovely, enthusiastic aspirants such as Sadhana, Ashish, Bhumitesh, Vikash, Shlok, Ramu, Kavish, and Saurav, Rajnishwar, Shyam, Krishna, Hika, Yuvraj, Mamta, Kundur, Sweetie, Sitaram, Terukula. Okay, welcome everybody in the class. And as other students keep joining us, Bulbul is here as well. Sadhna, all the clarity will be given to you, Bacha. Okay, every clarity. Just hold on for a few more days. Okay, here comes Reshma and Sham. Hello and good morning. Lots of blessings to all of you. Now let us begin with the first article. So please, I demand your focus here. What is this article trying to say? This article is talking about the recent phase of Gen Z protest across the world. If you have realized how Nepal broke into Gen Z protest, the Prime Minister was removed brutally, replaced by the First Lady Prime Minister, Miss Sushila. How did all this happen? Was it done by some kind of a constitutional amendment? Was it done by some kind of a military intervention? Absolutely no. While everybody knows about coups in the world, Myanmari Janta, we know about military coups in sub-Saharan Africa, but today we are looking at a very new phenomena. And it all started, say about 10 years before, when social media became a rampant source of knowledge information. It all started with something that is known as New Social Movement, or NSM. Youth across the world started expressing their problems, their concerns, their grievances through social media. Remember the Me Too movement. All of these were initiated on social media platforms where people found a better platform for connecting. These are new social movements where the agenda of the movement is not one, it is diverse. For example, women empowerment is also associated with climate justice. It is also associated with economic justice. It is associated with democracy. What is happening in Iran right now is also an example of new social movement where the young people take to the streets and they demand a diversity of changes in society. In the last 2 years, we have seen so many Gen Z movements. We have seen Nepal. We are seeing Iran today. We have seen Madagascar. We have seen in so many other countries, like even the US, Bangladesh, where people are now taking to the street and they need a change. They need a change. They are done. They are dissatisfied and they feel rather than expecting government to help them, let us take the responsibility of social, political, economic change in our hands. This is called youth empowerment. Now, across the world, we know democracies are weakening now. Of course, there is corruption. What happened in Bangladesh? What keeps on happening in Myanmar? All these are examples of how people are dissatisfied with existing regimes, corruption, lack of transparency, lack of fair and clear bureaucratic rules. People are tired now. And across the world, therefore, democracies are losing their importance. Authoritarian tendencies are increasing. Traditional protest movements, for example, this article is talking about traditional forms of protest. What are those? You look at the Occupy Wall Street. What is Occupy Wall Street? You look at Arab Spring. You look at Brazilian Spring. What are all these movements? Now, all these movements became famous, but none of them was able to bring a proper change on the ground. What is Occupy Wall Street? Well, a movement that started in 2011, where in the New York City of US. Later, it spread to many other countries of the world. The young people took to the roads and they started demanding economic equality. Corporate greed is something they criticized. Influence of big corporates on politics was not tolerated. Similarly, you look at Arab Springs. Arab Springs was a movement that got initiated from about 2010 onwards. It all started in a country called Tunisia. I hope everybody remembers. It began in a place called Tunisia and later it spread to other countries like Egypt, Libya. Libya, we all know about Muammar Gaddafi, the dictator whose regime was brutally finished. We know about Syria, Al Assad government, the man who was responsible for dictatorship, bio warfare with his wife Asma. They were practically ruling like monarchs. Their regime was ended briefly, and finally in 2018, he was abandoned forever. We know about Syria. Then Yemen, Bahrain, all these countries experienced what? The Arab Spring movement. At the same time, Gen Z revolution from 1997 to 2012 is taking birth. It is emerging as the biggest democratic force in the world. Example, Bangladesh. What happened in 2024 when Ms. Sheikh Hasina's government was also in a very ruthless manner struck down? The youth protested. We all saw how they ramped into the parliament. In fact, something similar had happened in Sri Lanka also about few years before, where the people took to the parliament, went in the presidential house and destroyed all symbols of existing government, including the personal goods and personal commodities of the ruling elite. That's the anger people are showing. And this is emerging as the new form of democracy. Is this rooted in government? No. It is absolutely known as a civil society movement. In GS paper 2, we have a proper topic called civil society movement, in which you will have to study NGO, NPO, cooperative, self-help group. In that, what we try to say is that sometimes the government is not able to make a change in society. The government, now there are theories in sociology, in PSIR, which say that after a certain point of time, any form of democracy also starts becoming dictatorship. Initially, democracy starts with transparency. But slowly, things change, and democracy also assumes the shape of dictatorship. And that is exactly what's happening in all these countries. Bangladesh 2024, Nepal 2025. Now, what are the key demands of the Generation Z? Generation Z says we can't tolerate corruption. We want transparency. We want job employment opportunities. What are people in Iran saying now? Initially, Iran protested because of suppression of women's rights. Today, Iran is in a new social movement. Very good. Who said that? Shlok. Wonderful. That's what Plato used to say. Same themes are found in the philosophy of Kant, Russell. Everybody said the same thing. Over a period of time, democracy becomes dictatorship. Absolutely. Very good. Great examples there. Now, similarly, Generation Z says we want accountability of the government to ourselves. All these protests were sudden, unpredictable. The biggest example of what is common in all these Gen Z protests is there is no institutional leadership. Did you see that? In all these movements, whether Bangladesh, Nepal, Madagascar, Sri Lanka, there is no one single leader. These are leaderless revolutions. These are issue based revolutions, more effective than earlier movements in changing and challenging regimes. Now, how do we understand the mindset of Generation Z? What does Gen Z want? Gen Z has a very different worldview. Who are these Gen Z people? These Gen Z people are typically those people who feel that they cannot passively depend on the government for change. They want to bring that change. Every generation reshapes values of existing society. And Gen Z wants a society that's not prejudiced, a society that's more individualistic, which is not rigid in the form of ideology. Now look at Iran, Mr. Ayatollah Khamenei. For generations, he was revered as a theocratic leader. Today, what people are saying, they are saying, what's the point of worshipping theocracy? When this theocracy cannot bring employment, income, and transparency on ground to us, why should we have a religious leader? Why? Yes, we are Gen Zs, no doubts about that. And that's what Gen Z want. They believe that personal is political. They don't differentiate between politics and personal values. They say personal is political. Every individual's feelings and aspirations must be represented at the government. They are not traditionally political. They are deeply concerned about dignity, equality, and fair treatment. So, therefore, if I was to talk about the nature of Gen Z politics, Gen Z are leaderless people. This is not the same as that in ancient medieval cultures. Now, if you look at 1857 revolt, how did the revolt start? The revolt was a movement done by soldiers. It was a sepoy mutiny. Sepoys used to exchange chapatis with secret messages on those chapatis. They were highly patriotic in nature. They were also leaderless people, but they were not Gen Z. They were traditional in mindset. They wanted a leader. That's why they all marched from Meerut to Delhi and made Bahadur Shah their nominal leader. Bahadur Shah was not interested also. He was old man. He was breaking down with age. He said, we cannot. I cannot afford to lead you. Because if I lead you, the British are going to attack me. But people did not listen. People say you are the last representative of one of the largest and longest ruling dynasty in India, Mughal dynasty. You have to give us leadership. And he did. In name, but he did. And then what happened? The British actually exiled him. The British actually blamed him. The British actually blamed the scions of Mughal dynasty for the revolution. So that's what happens. They wanted a leadership, but today Gen Z has a different mindset. They don't want a leader. They are non-ideological. They are episodic. Episodic means they will retaliate when they feel the need to retaliate, and they strongly believe in using of digital technology. Now, if you remember, Bacha, a time when India's freedom struggle was going on, that time we did not have internet, we did not have smartphones. Then how do you think people who were fighting the British Raj used to coordinate with each other? It was very tough. At that time, there was a lady freedom fighter in India. She was a Gandhian. She created an underground radio service starting from Maharashtra. Through this underground radio service, revolutionaries could connect with each other and coordinate their programs. It was a secret radio program. Can you tell me? Very good, Terukula. Usha. What was the full name of the lady? Usha Mehta Vineet. Very good. Miss Usha Mehta. When you study GS paper 1 and you study the chapter on women empowerment, then Usha Mehta deserves a special mention. At a time when there was no digitization, she was able to integrate people from one part of the country to another through the use of secret radio services beginning from Maharashtra. Very good. There are many more names like there are many more names. So we have Savitri Bai Phule, the mother of India's feminism. Too many people are there, but Usha Mehta deserves a special mention when it comes to creating secret digital revolution. So at this time also same thing is happening. It is actually about how today's Gen Z are not the people who need leadership or ideology. They are the people who need a simple digital platform to express themselves. Okay, now what do they prefer? The Gen Z prefer online mobilization so that they can reach out to many more people. They like heavy, they like involvement. They don't want organizational or hierarchical structure. They resist preaching ideological domination. They don't like that. And unlike traditional movements, Gen Z do not believe in lengthy protest, years long protest. They just believe in episodic short term retaliation. Can we compare it? Can we have a comparison between farmers' protest and the Gen Z movement? Yes. The farmers' protest in India began in 2020. It went on till 2024. Look at the difference between the two. The farmers' movement was organized. It has a clear cut leadership. It provided a long term mobilization. It also had specific policy demand. But what about Gen Z? Gen Z movements are episodic, they are transitional, short term. They are driven by passion and emotion. They don't care about power, Satya, absolutely. They are fragmented. They use digital technology and they are all symbolic, but symbolically very powerful. So even if they die out after a few days, the kind of impact they leave in society is tremendous. Whether you take the example of Nepal or Bangladesh or Madagascar or Sri Lanka or today Iran or in 2010 the Arab Springs. Now, Generation Z has the power that nobody in history has had. No protest was able to remove people like Gaddafi and Al Assad. Gen Z did. Gen Z did. They refused to accept the leadership and they were successful. Look at Bangladesh and Nepal, something same happened. Now, therefore, Gen Z movement is characterized by confidence plus anxiety. And that's a paradox this article is talking about. Beautiful example, Madhav. Beautiful example. Similarly, like Bhagat Singh, Sukhdev, Rajguru, they were also the young generation of their times and the kind of impact they have left behind. In fact, all the extremist revolutionaries, typically from areas of Punjab and West Bengal, young girls who devoted their life, committed suicide, but went on fighting against British till the last, they have inspired us like no one else has in the past. And that is what is reflected today. Now, Gen Z are a very confident generation because of social democratization. They have access to internet. They can express their views, but they are also an anxious generation. Why? Because Gen Z face job insecurity. Gen Z are facing economic uncertainty. They don't know how to skill themselves. They have too much career pressure and too much demands on themselves, like climate change, climate disaster, increasing population, corruption, too much work pressure. All these are the realities of Generation Z. But at the same time, Gen Z is also very open minded. They believe in therapy, focusing on mental health. They are aware of the workplace toxicity and they want to do something to change that. It feels like mental despair does lead to insecurity, but Gen Z is also the population which is ready to change its situation at the slightest of hint, at the slightest of opportunity. Now, Gen Z's identity is shaped by market consumption, shaped by technology, shaped by digitization, shaped by educational mobility. For example, for Generation Z, what do you mean by equality? It means everybody should have the same asset, resource ownership. Example, multi-dimensional poverty report. That reflects the sentiment. Long back, earlier, what was poverty? Whether you talk about the Lakdawala committee or Tendulkar committee, poverty used to be either measured in consumption of calorie or it used to be measured in per capita income. Today, no more. Inspired by Oxford University and UNDP, India also utilizes a new measurement of poverty by Niti Aayog, MDP, multidimensional poverty. What does it show? Rather than only seeing income or calories as a measure of poverty, we are looking at 12 indicators, which includes access to clean cooking fuel, bank account, concrete house, access to internet, access to smart technology. All these are categories of poverty. That shows the mentality of Gen Z. They believe in joint ownership of resources. They are individual choice based. They are not attached to rigid ascriptive identities. Ascriptive identities, caste, gender. They don't believe in such forms of orthodox stratification. And therefore, this has led to hyper nationalism. What is hyper nationalism? Earlier, people used to be driven by chauvinistic nationalism. Chauvinistic nationalism means where people thought that they are the best. Jingoism. My country, my culture is the best. Too much ethnocentric attitude. Xenophobia. We don't like outsiders. A very good example of that could be an out and out boycott of everything that's foreign. That was chauvinistic nationalism. Express your nationalism by rejecting foreign things. But now, Gen Z doesn't believe in that. Gen Z says, we will do what suits our priority. Quite the sentiment that Indian government has reflected when it comes to doing a bilateral trade agreement with US. Everybody says, why should we focus on US partnership when US has done so much damage to us? But that's not Gen Z's mentality. Gen Z says, let's do what's best for us. There is nothing right, nothing wrong. There is no emotion like xenophobia. We can't hate outsiders. We are living in a global world. Let's take the best of everything. Whether it's US, whether it's Russia, whether it's China, whether it's EU, ultimately let's focus on our benefit. In fact, India's strategic autonomy is an example of Gen Z sentiment. Space mission, defense atmanirbharta, technology achievement, future ambitions, all of these are reflecting one thing. We may be poor as a country right now, but we are still evolving. And this is hyper nationalism, where you believe in the love for your country, but you also see the benefit of yourself and your country. That comes first. Okay. Now, overall, how can we conclude this article? Yes, you all are the one. We are all the one. What does this article therefore say? Article says democracy is not about institutions alone. You can't say in a democracy only the parliament or the Supreme Court or the media and the press are important. No. In fact, democracy has the most important fifth pillar. That's called civil society. People like you and people like me who believe in bringing this change, whose attitude is shaped by globalization, technology, market culture, consumption, hyper national aspiration, who do not believe in traditional political actors. They believe in changing their future by themselves. That's what the article says. They are not trend followers, they are trend creators, Madhav. Very good. Absolutely, that is also correct, Saurav. We can say that. Gen Z has a very, very radical attitude towards institutional based democracy. We can say that. But there is a difference. When you compare it with revolutionary extremist freedom fighters, they used to believe in laying their own life. They have made a sacrifice of their own life. There are great young girls from Bengal who have actually either bombed the government institutions or they have themselves become suicide bombers at that point of time. They completely devoted their life to changing the country. But today's Gen Z doesn't exactly do that. They don't believe in giving up their life. What they are saying, we will be the leader. We will decide the future of the country and we will do what suits us the best. It's not important to hate anyone per se. It's just important to see your benefit. That's the difference between them and us. But of course, the belief is same. Radical attitude towards existing system. They want to change. Okay? All right. Correct. Yes, that is a very, very virality thing right now. Raj Shamani's podcast with the French leader. Yes, I also saw that. It is making too much news right now, but that's good. We can watch all that content. There's nothing wrong in that. Okay? Yeah, the martyrdom concept. It has now shifted to strategic autonomy and taking power in your own hands, more kind of participatory democracy. All right, great. Can we now look at the question if it's clear to you? With reference to political behavior of Generation Z, consider these statements. 1. Gen Z protests are generally characterized by sustained long term leadership, structures, and long term organizational continuity. They believe in institutions. 2. Gen Z trends to blur. What is blur? Finish, make it unclear, make it nebulous. There is a very good word for it, nebulous. Nebulous is something that's not clear. Not clear. So Gen Z tries to blur the boundary between personal conduct and political expression. And 3, compared to earlier movement like Occupy Wall Street in US, Arab Spring 2010, and also the Brazilian Spring movement, Gen Z mobilizations have been more episodic and more digitally driven. Which of these statements are valid? Initiated from my dear Terukula and then proceeded by Shyam, Vikash, Shlok, Madhav, Sitaram, Eric, Satya, Bulbul, Sadhna, Santosh, very good. What about Zahir and Reshma? What about Ramu? There is no split as per Shlok. All right. Urupam Ramu answer. Yes. Okay. Anup answers. Yuvraj answers. Kritik answers. Ashish is answering. Codename Devil is answering. Am I missing on Reshma? Am I missing on Kojumba was here today? Kojumba, are you there in the class after a long time? You're most welcome, dear. Seeing you after ages, long time no see. Roshan answers, AB answers, and everybody says the answer is C. So, I must give a huge round of applause because indeed the answer is C, no doubt. First statement is totally the opposite, and that is what we discussed very clearly, that Gen Z doesn't believe in a single leadership. It doesn't believe in institutional capacity. It says, what are my personal values must be reflected in my political expressions too. And then, of course, they are driven by technology, digitization, and they are more episodic. They do a retaliation when they feel there is a need to retaliate. Okay, so totally second and third statements are valid, making C the right answer. Quite well done. I'm still to hear from Reshma and Kojumpa. Okay, very good, Ravi. Let's proceed with the next article, also editorial, and this says Bhasha matters in India's multilingual movement. Talking about Bhasha, Bhasha is language. Yes, very good, Eric. Bhasha is language. What's the main idea of this article, therefore? Main idea is that India has a huge linguistic diversity. Mapping it to GS syllabus. UPSC syllabus, this is GS paper 1, Indian society, and the salient features of Indian society. Indian society has broadly 4 salient features that you will study in society paper from GS1. For those who take sociology, they will also study in more detail. Indian society is polycultural, multilinguistic. Indian society always experiences cyclical changes, not linear changes. Indian society is strongly rooted in religious cultural ideologies. Indian society has been showing patriarchy, and Indian society is based on mechanical solidarity, not organic solidarity. Avoiding the other points for general studies, focus on the first one. India is a polycultural society. We have a huge linguistic diversity. India has about 1300 mother tongues, 121 recognized languages. But diversity is not a problem. Diversity is not a problem. It's a unique salient feature of India. We should see it as a strength. Long back, Pandit Nehru said, let's believe in unity in diversity. By that, he meant, let's believe in unity without uniformity and diversity without fragmentation. Yes, but many children in India are facing a problem because of this. Because many children are not taught in their mother tongue, which is creating learning gaps and school dropouts among them. Therefore, mother tongue based multilingual education is the need of this hour. The article has called this as MTB MLE. What is MTB MLE? Mother tongue based multilingual education. It is essential for quality and inclusive education in India. Bache, why does mother tongue learning matter so much? It matters because language is not just about vocalizing words. Language carries culture. When you study Indian society, you will learn one thing. You will learn that language is the chief vehicle of culture. It's a very important expression for Indian society. Language is the main, chief vehicle of culture. That means when we say that culture is transmitted, both cultures, material, non material, when culture is transmitted from one generation to another, it always propagates itself through language. Without language, culture cannot travel. So, language is not about words, language is about expression, language is about communication, language is about culture, identity, and knowledge as well. When a language disappears, only few words don't disappear. But when a language disappears, cultures disappear. You lose traditional knowledge. A very good example could be today we are creating the Great Nicobar project in the Galathea Bay area. Little do we realize that if PVTG communities like Champigny's and Nicobari, tomorrow if their culture disappears, if they because of displacement become urbanized and we lose their language, we lose their culture and we lose their traditions, we are not losing just a few things. We are losing a cultural identity. It is diversity that has made India's culture unique. Plus, it is these tribals that have the knowledge that you and I don't have, that the leaders sitting in AI Impact Summit also don't have, that people sitting in World Health Organization also don't have. In 2004 tsunami, when India did not even have a proper tsunami warning system. At that time, tribals in this area, in the Indian Oceanic islands, were able to predict that a tsunami will come. A prediction that no meteorological department was able to. It was only the behavior of animals and the behavior of tribals that led us to understand that yes, some tragedy is going to happen. This is the level of knowledge in traditional science, in traditional medicine that these people have. In fact, India is also a big victim of biopiracy. You may read this in GS paper too. Biopiracy. Now, there are foreigners, people from Germany, Italy, France, US, they come and they do tourism in Andaman and Nicobar, Lakshadweep. They see the cultural practices of these people. They are curing diseases by using herbs like cinnamon, saffron, turmeric, coconut, and they are amazed. They are amazed at that. And what do? They copy the same process, take the same materials, go back to their own country and sell it into 5 times by patenting it in their own name. Something similar happened with a country called Leaf Republic. It's a case study. Leaf Republic from Germany. They came to India. They saw how India and Indian cities and Indian villages are using small leaf made utensils to eat street food, to eat basic kind of things in temples or in gurudwaras. They are leaves, spoons, and glasses made up of leaf that is highly biodegradable. They loved the idea. They went back to Germany. They created a startup called Leaf Republic. They started using basic machines and they got all the dried leaf from the forest and then started selling complete biodegradable utensils. They got a patent on that. It is a funded startup. Who is getting the benefit? Indians? No. This is called biopiracy. Same thing happens to cure cancers, thyroids, infertility problems, very common. Tribals are victims of biopiracy. Today, by cancelling, finishing a tribal culture, we are losing on India's cultural heritage. That's the beauty of language. When a language disappears, traditional knowledge also disappears. Because young children in their peak development age, from age 1 to age 5, also learn concepts better when they are taught in their mother tongue rather than in a foreign language. Because if the medium of communication is familiar, a child finds it easy to understand tough concepts in mathematics and language. Similarly, literacy and numeracy are easier achieved in mother tongue. Dropout rate reduces when child gets to learn in mother tongue. But look at the paradox. As per the data, in India, 44% of all children start their school in a language that is different from their home language. This is the data by NCERT 22. We have a different mother tongue, and when we go to school, we start in English. Most kids can't cope up. Globally, 250 plus million learners are facing this problem right now, the linguistic gap. What does UNESCO say about it? Now, UNESCO, the chief cultural agency of UN, says multilingual education is very good. There is nothing wrong with multilingual education. In its 2025 report, UNESCO has said Bhasha matters. Language matters. Mother tongue and multilingual education has an important role to play. Teaching in mother tongue improves learning, improves retention, promotes equality, inclusion, and linguistic diversity should be treated like an asset in countries like India, not as a liability. The program created by UNESCO gives 10 policy recommendations. But has India done anything to promote multilingual learning? Yes. When you talk about the National Education Policy 2020, it was told that until grade 8th, all children can learn in their basic mother tongue. They can learn in their mother tongue, especially when it comes to preschool. Preschool before grade 1. Then National Curriculum Framework 2023 also supports that. What are the examples at the state level? You have Odisha. Odisha has multilingual education in 21 tribal languages. Now, Odisha is also the country with highest number of PVTG. Yes, look at Telangana. Telangana offers the Diksha platform, the online educational platform created by CBSE in multilinguistic resources. Are there any initiatives that India has done on a pan-India basis? Yes, some of them we can discuss. One is PM Vidya, Pradhan Mantri, Prime Minister, Electronic Knowledge. Vidya is knowledge. This is a comprehensive digital education program initiated by the Indian government in 2020 under Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan. It aims to provide multi-mode access to digital online education. It was initiated because of COVID-19 pandemic. Yes. The next one is Adi Vani. What is Adi? Adi is related to tribal. Vani is related to language, bhasha. So that means Adi Vani is a national initiative which aims at documenting, preserving, documenting, and promoting tribal languages and tribal dialects in India. These are those languages that are endangered. Yes. Next one. Bhashini app. Bhashini app is equally important. It is an artificial intelligence based language translation platform. Bhasha based app which aims at creating AI powered language translation platform. All the information that you can retrieve from internet will be translated in your local language so that AI chatbots like ChatGPT, Gemini, all of these will be available in Indian languages, not just in English. Absolutely, that's the problem. You see, that is a very long problem. Like Eric is saying, all of us have experienced that. In my school, also, I remember there was an English teacher who used to roam with a ruler, literally a wooden ruler. And if you were found talking in Hindi, like I come from a North Indian state, and if you were found speaking in Hindi, she used to literally make you open your hand and do some kind of hitting with that skill. So imagine if you are getting a punitive action for using your mother tongue, how deterrent it must be acting on a young child's mind that my native language is not important and only English language is important. You see, I'm one of those people who has long promoted a change in UPSC exam pattern also. I strongly believe there is no need to have any basic English compulsory test at all. Why? Because language is something you can learn as a part of your administrative training as well. Knowledge matters. Since when did language begin mattering? I always believe that. But then people are not like that. There is so much insecurity that's created for not knowing a certain language, especially in English. In India, it's English. It shows a very pro Western culture. It's totally devoid of your own dignity when it comes to your knowledge and your traditions. And I strongly hate that sentiment too. All of us, I think, what Eric is saying, I believe everybody will relate to that. In every school, you have that policy. And even today, it's going on. That's the saddest part. Yes, that's what happens. Correct. Now imagine that case what he's mentioning, Yuvraj is mentioning. Prada, the great fashion company, can copy Indian Kolhapuri chappal. What an act of biopiracy. What sense does it make? What sense does it make? What happens, Saurav? Yeah, correct. Absolutely. I can't use. You see, that is the problem here. Even if I want, I can't use. Because we have created protocols that English is English. And if you are talking in English, it is an aberration if you shift to your mother tongue. In fact, when I teach essay writing, you won't believe me. It's a very interesting story. I was taking classes in Hyderabad. Okay, so some of my students who are taking Telugu literature, they were asking me, ma'am, as we are writing essays, there are sometimes phrases and quotations in Telugu language which you can't translate in English with the same sentiment. Is it possible to do quotations in Telugu or Tamil or in Malayali language? And I always say, do it. Do it. There is no problem. Provided in English, you just give a small explanation of what have you said. Whenever you want to express an emotional point in your essay, if it's a two-line quotation in your native language, go ahead and do it. You should absolutely take pride in that. There's nothing wrong in that. So all these are human-made barriers, you see. They don't make any sense. And that is why today we are introducing Bhashini. Correct. Taithong. And that's very unfortunate. That's very unfortunate. Every language is beautiful. I myself have attempted in learning Manipuri when I was in Delhi and I was quite fluent at some point of time. You see, language you learn at any stage in life, it's the most rewarding thing you can do. Okay, so now coming back to the agenda, Bhashini will enable all the online information through AI in your own local language. Then you have A1 for Bharat, AI for Bharat. AI for Bharat, you can learn it. AI for Bharat is an open source research initiative based at IIT Madras. What's the agenda? To develop AI and natural language processing tools for Indian languages to make AI accessible in Indic languages, not in English alone. So we are doing those kind of things. Yes, sweetie, absolutely beautiful. Sweetie remembers. Okay. So you see, all these things happen. All these things are happening. Like Vineet says, he likes Japanese, and there's nothing wrong in that. The more language you learn, the more enriched you become. And by creating all these tools, that's what India is planning to do. Now, can technology and AI help us really in promoting local language? It can. It can help you document endangered languages, of course. Otherwise, languages will be lost. At the same time, it can provide local language content. Yes, it will help teachers in multilingualistic classrooms, of course. Suppose as a teacher, as a school teacher or a college teacher, in a teacher's class, there are 50 students coming from different linguistic backgrounds. She can help them personally. If she knows these many languages, AI can help her in doing that. And what do we need for that? Clear cut center state level language policies, better teacher training for multilingual classrooms, community participation, use of responsible AI. Because to conclude, we can say one thing: language is not about expressing alone, language is about identity and social justice. Linguistic diversity is an asset in India, it's not a curse. So, therefore, by making education available in languages, variety Indian languages, you will promote that kind of pride in Indian culture and have a inclusive learning. You will not waste demographic dividend. Now, I felt very happy when Madhya Pradesh became the first state to allow NEET exam, MBBS, medical entrance exam in Hindi also. We should allow it in so many various languages. There are talented people. Let them not miss because they lack a kind of fluency in English language. That should never be a barrier, if you ask me. Okay? Correct. How many languages do I know? Well, I'm not such a polyglot, to be honest with you. But of course, English, Hindi, then my own dialect where I come from in Uttarakhand. And then I do understand Punjabi. I can understand Kannada. And I have learnt Manipuri, but I'm very out of touch with Manipuri. That's all from my side. Okay. Quickly, with reference to mother tongue based multilingual education in India, consider the following statements. One, the national education policy says, whenever possible, medium of instruction until grade 5 should be a child's home language or mother tongue. 2. According to 2011 census, India recognizes only 22 languages in total. Okay. 3. UNESCO considers linguistic diversity as a barrier to achieving quality education in multilingual societies. Is there a uniformity? Okay, most people are saying it's A. Started from Terukula, Shyam, Shlok Sadhana, Kavish, Ramu, Sumedh, Madhav, Shlok. Okay, and what about Iba? And what about Akhtar? And what about Kojumba? Kojumba, you came and you are not there now. What happened, Bache? What about Eric's answer here? Vineet, Anup are answering. Chip is answering. Sitaram has answered. I didn't see the answer. Santosh Ramu, did he answer? Yes, he answered. Okay, Ashish. So totally valid. And then a huge round of applause to each one of you. And absolutely A is the right answer, undoubtedly. Third is opposite of the truth. Second, opposite of the truth. That's not true. First, totally correct. That's the recommendation of NEP 2020. Wonderful, sweetie. Wonderful, Aman. Great, Satya. Great, Munna. Totally correct. Very good. Johan, very good. AB. Bacha, the answer should be A here. Ravi, Yuvraj, correct. Any doubts? I can clarify. A is the right answer. No, I'm not exactly from UP. I'm from Uttarakhand actually. Okay. That's a very sweet thing said by Eric. No, she came after a long time, that's why. Okay. Yes, I am. All right, sweetie. Yeah, I should be. Ideally, I should be Shlok, although I'm not, but I should be. Okay. Enough of discussion about this. Let's quickly proceed. Yes, I have seen Ramu. That is also a logical guess there. I have very, very smart students, you know. You can make excellent inferences. This will help you in CSAT paper, by the way. Okay. Coming back to next article. This is GS paper 2, but this is international relations. Where are we traveling? We are looking at Gaza again. In the past few days, we have seen too much about Gaza. We have seen too much about the West Bank. We have seen too much about which place? Oslo Accord and Camp David Accord, and how these divided the Gaza into three areas A, B, C. Yes. Then we have also seen how today It is President Trump who's trying to create some peace talks between Israel and Palestine. Recently, the peace talks were happening in Geneva, Switzerland. Yes, mediated by US. Before that also, there has been an attempt by Mr. Trump to create a Gaza peace board. India was invited to join the board. At that time, India did not say anything. Why? Because India was worried. India was concerned that if I joined the peace board, maybe President Trump asked me to send military. And India did not want to send any military to this area. No military involvement. That's why India stayed away. But now India has agreed to participate in this, but only as an observer, not as a full-time member. So what is going on? Let's try to understand in this article by also referring to the map of this area. There are two maps here. The first map on the left side is the map of the Gaza Strip itself, as you can see it. West Bank, Israel, bordered by all these countries of West Asia. But your right side, I have exclusively created a small map of Syria, Golan Heights. Why? I realized students who are new to the platform, they are still a little bit messed up in their concepts like Golan Height, like Sinai Peninsula. Let's quickly clarify that idea. Okay? Let's quickly identify that. So please all focus on the screen. What has happened? An Indian diplomat has attended the Board of Peace in Gaza. The meeting has been held in Washington, D.C. India clarified that India will participate, but only as an observer. Only as an observer, not as a decision-making member. Now, this is called strategic autonomy. I will participate, but only as an observer, not as a full-time member, because I don't want tomorrow suddenly you start demanding military from me, and I'm not going to provide military, is what Foreign Affairs Ministry, External Affairs Ministry has told clearly. We are not providing. Yes, very much NAM Reshma, very much multi-alignment strategic autonomy. We will not do any kind of troop or weapon support. We will participate, but only as an observer. We are not making decision. We are only interested in peace. That's it. We support Palestinian Liberation Organization. India has throughout said it is okay to have two-state solution. You can have two countries like Palestine on the one side, Israel on the other side. That's all India wants. Peace, peace and peace. No participation. Now, who represented India? India was represented by the deputy chief of this mission. She is Miss Namgya Khampa. And what statement was given? The statement was given by Ministry of External Affairs spokesperson. What has India said? India gave its support to Palestine. So now let's focus a little bit extra because I'm covering a small spot of history. So but your full attention. India repeated that it supports a sovereign, independent and visible state of Palestine based on 1967 borders. What are 1967 borders? What are these borders? 1967 borders are a result of two-state solution. What is two-state solution? The two-state solution proposes two separate countries parallelly. One Israel by the Jewish community and second Palestine in line of the demands made by Palestinian Liberation Authority. India supports the idea that both these countries should exist side by side as parallel, independent, sovereign countries who live peacefully parallelly. So what are the 1967 borders? 1967 borders refer to the boundaries that were created, that used to exist before the Six-Day War in 1967. Brilliant, Vikash. What happened in 1967? In 1967, a war happened. A war initiated by Israel. It is famously known in history as the Six-Day War. When we talk about 1967 borders, we are saying the borders that existed before 1967 Six-Day War. Why? Because before 1967, West Bank was under Jordan. You can see Jordan on the map. Can we see Jordan on the map? Please, all eyes on the map, bache. Here is Jordan. West Bank was under Jordan. Gaza Strip was under Egypt. Can we see Egypt? Yes, Egypt is right here. Gaza was under Egypt. East Jerusalem was not under Israeli control. But things changed after the Six-Day War. What happened now? After Six-Day War, Israel captured the West Bank from Jordan. Gaza Strip from Egypt. East Jerusalem also. And now Israel expanded its territory from a small piece to a piece that includes West Bank, Gaza, and East Jerusalem as well. After all this occupation, Israel has become a much larger area, but other countries do not support this expansion. The boundaries that used to exist before this Six-Day War are known as Green Line. The pre-war boundaries, Green Line boundaries. After the 1967 war, Israel captured all this. Very good, I'll come to that shortly. All that was captured, and now we have a bigger Israel after the 1967 war. Then what happened? As a part of the same war, Israel captured another area, but that area is in controversy even today, and this area is known as the Golan Heights area. Plus the Sinai Peninsula. What are all these? Let's talk about it. Now that Israel has captured all these countries, Israel, a place that used to be a small Jewish settlement, is a massive country today. If you see the map, most of the area in the white is now captured by Israel. It includes West Bank, includes Gaza, includes Eastern Jerusalem. Most of the area near the Dead Sea, the Sea of Galilee. Tomorrow, anybody questions in the exam, where is the Sea of Galilee? Galilee. Now, Sea of Galilee and the Dead Sea are known for, they are known for such high saline, such high salt concentration in water that they always create a heavy buoyancy. People will float, never sink in this water. So both these water bodies are parallelly located in the boundary of Egypt, Jordan, Syria. Please, nobody should forget, bache. Sea of Galilee and the Dead Sea. Majority of this area today is owned by Israel. Is that clear to everyone? Yes, very good. Correct? Now, if this is clear to everyone, how did the world community react to it? Listen now. In 1978, American president tried to create some mediation. Why? Because Israel has always been an ally of US from the beginning. So in 1978, US leader, the leader who was given Nobel Peace Prize, who is that US president? Who got Nobel Peace Prize? Very good, Terukula. Jimmy Carter. Mr. Jimmy Carter, who got Nobel Peace Prize because in 1978 he mediated between Israel and Egypt in the form of Camp David Accords. In history, these are known as Cold Peace Treaty. I repeat, Cold Peace Treaty. They were able to create a situation where, now I'm repeating, so listen carefully. Egypt became the first Arab country to recognize Israel. Now, tomorrow, if anybody asks you a question, suppose to confuse you, that was Saudi Arabia the first Arab country to recognize Israel? No. Because Saudi Arabia recognized Israel after what Satya says, Abraham Accord. This is COVID period, 2020, bacha. We are talking about 1978 in the aftermath of the Six-Day War. Yes, it is an imposed peace treaty from US, Jimmy Carter, on the leaders of Egypt and Israel. And under this, Egypt became the first Arabic country to recognize Israel. In return, what happened? In return, Israel agreed to give back Sinai Peninsula, which it had captured from Egypt as a part of the war. Clear? That is why it is called Cold Peace Treaty, because, very good Ramu, there is no real peace here. Egypt is not happy. Egypt is not happy with Israel. From inside, it doesn't want to even accept Israel. It doesn't want to at all. Because Gaza Strip was also once a part of Egypt, taken away by Israel. So Egypt is not happy, but Egypt has no option. Under US pressure, the treaty was signed, known as the Cold Peace Treaty. And yes, Mr. Jimmy Carter got Nobel Prize for that. Yes, so we are looking at an integrated map here. Bache. Because the map is projecting in a zoomed manner, you are getting that confusion. Ideally, Mediterranean is also here. You can see the northwest side of the map. Below this will be the Gulf Sea. So you can assume that we are talking about two continents here, but just it is a zoomed map. So you are getting that feeling. We can also see a non-zoomed map of it tomorrow on Monday. So now, having said that, the Cold Peace Treaty is signed now. Fine. Israel is giving back Sinai. Egypt is the first Arabic country to recognize Israel. Fine. Correct? Now what? Now what is Golan Heights? Multiple UPSC questions keep coming on Golan Heights, and my kids are confused. They are thinking, then what is Golan Heights? Look at the map on the right side, bacha. Look here. Quickly. Quickly look here. Both the maps, look at them parallelly. First, look at the left and look at the right one. Look at the left, bache. What is Golan Height? Can you see? I'm circling just above the Sea of Galilee. Can you see that in the boundary of Syria, Lebanon, here Israel? Now look at a more zoomed image in the right side. This is Golan Heights, the area striped in red. Between Israel, you can see the Jordan on the south, Sea of Galilee, the small water body here, and then Syria on the right side. What is this Golan Height then? Golan Height is a strategic plateau located between Israel and Syria. It was captured by Israel in the Six-Day War, the same war 1967, where Israel captured everything. Israel captured Golan Height also. It was originally a part of Syria, captured by Israel 1967. The United Nations does not recognize Israeli sovereignty over Golan Heights. Most countries don't. Nobody does. But in 2019, now again comes President Trump. In 2019, US officially recognized Israeli sovereignty over Golan Heights. Yes, very controversial move by US. US said Golan Heights goes to it goes to Israel. Who will accept that? Nobody will accept that. Syria still continues to claim that. There is a fight going on here also. Now, what about India in this condition? India supports peace. We have no vested interest. Israel is a country where our Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, is going to go now. We are going to sign a defense and technology deal. Plus, in future, Israel could share many more technologies with us, like the Iron Dome technology, like the desalinization of seawater technology. Why will we not have friends with Israel? After all, Israel supports India. When it comes to Pahalgam terror attack or Chinese aggression, we will. But it doesn't mean we support Israeli aggression into Palestine and the humanitarian war in Gaza. We don't. So India supports the two-state solution. India says, let us have two separate countries. Very good question, Chip. Bacha, Abraham Accords came in 2020. Abraham Accords was again signed between US with some Gulf countries on the other side, led by Saudi Arabia. Under this, Saudi Arabia and other countries like, say, Bahrain and other countries like Qatar, they all agreed to recognize Israel officially. Again done by US pressure. But there is a paradox here also. Although Saudi has agreed to accept Israeli sovereignty, but today, when it comes to attack on Iran, Saudi is not happy. Saudi says no matter what, but what Israel is doing in Iran, what Israel is doing with people of Palestine is not correct. So I do acknowledge Israel under US pressure, but I don't support the genocide in Gaza. So today Saudi is also in a very 50-50 situation. Whether to actually listen to US and acknowledge Israel, or whether to categorically criticize Israel. Recently, when President Trump said, I want to attack Iran, will you give me your airspace? Saudi said no. Saudi said no. I support you in some ways, but I'm not going to give my country to attack Iran. Because if the entire area is gone into the hands of Israel, it will be a Jewish domination. What about Islamic unity? Obviously, Saudi will not support, right? Okay, so now what is happening? India supports two-state solution. India wants ceasefire. India wants two countries side by side, Israel, Palestine. India wants to give access to people in Gaza, and India's diplomacy has always been a balancing act. What has India done now? Yesterday, I was telling you, India has refused to sign a joint statement criticizing Israel. Now, India has signed it. Within 24 hours, India has changed. Why? Because now, as Mr. Modi is going to visit Israel, we obviously cannot, criticize Israel openly. But at the same time, we also have a pressure. We have a pressure coming from other countries. Other countries who do not support the violence that Israel is conducting against Palestine. Going back on the two-state solution, not acknowledging any promise made under Abraham Accord or Camp David Accord or Oslo Accord. So India was pressurized. After all, you are answerable to the world also. So within 24 hours, decision has changed. Now India has signed the statement along with 85 countries to criticize Israel's action on Palestine. What about the issue of West Bank? Recently, Israel is saying we will keep on sending more Jewish community to settle in the West Bank. What will that mean? More Israeli civilians settling in West Bank and very little area remaining for Palestine. Plus, even outside Jewish settlers who will go from India the Beni Israel community, the Beni Jewish community, will also get to settle in all these occupied areas, and these actions are not tolerated by the global law. So, India's broader policy is very clear: support for Palestine, support for the two-state solution, support for the pre borders. What were these borders? Green Line borders. The pre 1967 Six-Day War borders. We support that. With East Jerusalem as the capital. That is India's stand. At the same time, India does maintain strong defense ties, agriculture, water technology, cyber security with Israel. So once again, the same thing is coming out. What is the same theme? Multi-alignment, strategic autonomy, non-alignment movement part 2. And India will maintain this autonomy. Yes, the Green Line. Correct. Okay, has it risen to 100 countries? Thanks for that. Okay, today's newspaper says 85, but perhaps now many more countries will join in. All right then. Quickly the question. With reference to India's position on Israel-Palestine, look at these statements here. 1. India supports a sovereign, independent and viable state of Palestine based on the pre-1967 borders. Second, India attended the recent Board of Peace Gaza meeting in Washington, D.C. as an observer. And 3, India supported peace efforts in Gaza in line with resolutions of the UNSC. And 4, India eventually endorsed a joint US statement criticizing Israel's expansion of settlement in the West Bank. Which of these are valid? I am hoping there will be a split this time. I have a suspicion. Let's see. Terukula, Madhav, Shlok are answering. Anyone else who wants to chip in? Kavish? Absolutely, they do have. Yes, Yuvraj. Saurav, Sumedh, Sadhana, Shyam, Kritik. And what about Kaizen and Taithong? And what about Munna? What about Eric Kojumba? What about Sitaram? Santosh answers, Rajishwar, Aman Taithong answers, Reshma answers. Shinobi, Vineet, AB. Wow, I'm surprised. No split. Ramu? No split at all. Ravina, Vikash? Mild split. Very mild. Urupam, Roshan? Amazing. You belied my expectation today. Then what's the right answer? Of course, D is the right answer. And of course, you deserve an applause today also. Hats off. It is D. Wow. Hats off to this performance. A is totally correct. Second, 100% correct. All the statements are correct. There's nothing wrong here. Nothing wrong here. Initially, India refused to sign the declaration. Yes, India initially did not. But within 24 hours, India has done. Why? Because India is also under global pressure to call out on the wrong initiatives that are being done by Israel. Israel is believing in a unilateral capture, monopolizing the territory. No country likes that. And therefore, India also had to sign. Amazing, Shyam. Amazing, Satya. Everyone. D is the right answer. Today, you've really shocked me. 100% I knew there's going to be a split, and there was none. So, wow. Absolutely. Hats off to all of you. Brilliant performance. Wonderful. Next article. GS paper 2 and 3. 2 because it's IR, international relations. 3 because we are talking about rare earth metals and critical minerals. I think by now we all understand. Critical minerals are a broad term. Within that, there is a small segment called rare earth material. Only 17 rare elements on the periodic table. Yes, 15 lanthanides, 1 yttrium and scandium. Correct? Any doubt, Shlok? No split? Yes, I know. No split today right now. What's your question? You need to repeat, Bache. I missed it. Okay. What's this article say? We have heard about Pax Silica. Pax Silica is the initiative that is led by US. Yes, very good, Vikash. 17 rare earth elements. But the problem is, which country dominates the supply chain of all the rare earth element and critical minerals? China. China dominates not just the supply of rare earth elements, 17 in number on the periodic table, but above, more than that, other critical elements also, like graphite, like cobalt, like so many other ones. So China dominates because China not only has the capacity to extract them from the earth upstream, China also has a great capacity when it comes to midstream and downstream. Midstream, heating, cleaning, smelting, downstream, refining and using into materials like electronic vehicle, solar battery, semiconductor and mobile phone battery. So China dominates the supply chain. Very good, Vikash. 90% of processing and 70% of refining is done by China alone. And now other countries are frustrated. They are tired of this dependence. They don't want. They say we must reduce dependence on China. For that itself, US has created a group called Pax Silic. What's the news? India has joined the group. What's the news? India has joined the group. Let me quickly see the doubt. Yes, what's the doubt, Bachi? No, you must tick Egypt slow. With your eyes closed, you have to check Egypt. Egypt's location is unique. It is a technical African country, but predominated by Arabic culture. So, when you talk about Arabic states, we always include certain areas like Egypt. We always include places like Morocco, Mauritania. So, go ahead and click Egypt in that case. I hope it's clear. Okay. Now, because we are tired of Chinese monopoly, we want to sign Pax Silica. Today, the news is India has joined Pax Silica. Yes. Now, what is Pax Silica? A coalition initiated from US. Which other countries are a part of it? Canada, Japan, South Korea, European Union. Japan and South Korea have a tremendous capacity of also extracting and processing rare earth materials. The aim is to build a secure and stable supply chain of electronics, semiconductor, and critical minerals where we do not have to depend on supply shocks by China. After all, China's capacity to control 90% of supply chain in rare earth material and API in pharmaceutical has led it to fight with countries like US. Even someone as egoistic like President Trump came down in front of China and said, okay, fine, I will reduce your tariff. You just ensure that you give me rare earth material. I cannot survive without that. Well, no country can survive without that. After all the countries want to achieve their nationally determined contributions by 2030. We all want to become zero carbon. We all want to achieve reduction in total amount of greenhouse gas emission. For that, we need renewable energy. We need electronic vehicles. We need semiconductor plus in AI fabrication also. So how can we not depend on China? We have to. All these materials are needed. That's why Pax Silica is formed. Because China dominates the supply chain. Whether it's semiconductor, whether it's rare earth, whether it's critical minerals, all nations are heavily dependent on China. And for that reason, China keeps giving us export shocks. In 2024, before that in 25, 24 and 25 both, China suddenly said, I will reduce export of rare earth material. What happened? The whole world was shaking with fear. What will we do now? This creates economic vulnerability for other countries. So Pax Silica today aims at reducing dependence on China, building alternative supply chains. India is also doing something similar, either when it comes to India's deal with Canada or India's deal with Australia. Both the deals aim to procure more rare earth material, and then India can invest manpower in refining and mining. Yes? Now, this also means China will not be able to weaponize these trade and minerals. When you take advantage of something, it's called weaponizing something. And China has weaponized the fact that it has the global monopoly. So, all these countries of Pax Silica are saying no to weaponized dependency. And what does India do? By joining Pax Silica, India has become a part of trusted technology in supply chain network. India will strengthen its semiconductor business. Now, this will also generate employment in India. It will move more economic security plus geopolitical advantage. It will be in line with Atmanirbhar Bharat, semiconductor mission, critical minerals mission, and strategic autonomy policy. For example, whenever China chooses to stop rare earth export, it can lead to a blackout. For example, in Mumbai, in 2020, there was a cyber related blackout. People suspect that countries like China are responsible behind that. There is a trade pressure linked to political statement. For example, Taiwan. China doesn't allow Taiwan to export technology by making sure China covers Taiwan from all the sides under China plus policy, one China policy. But other countries should not tolerate that. You can't weaponize economic tools for political gains. Okay, so that is why India has joined Pax Silica. It's a very wise decision taken by India. Now, quickly, the next article, GS paper 2, one of the last articles. India Brazil. So here I want to talk a little bit about Mercosur. I have never spoken about Mercosur in my class. I want to talk about it. GS paper to India Brazil. We have seen Brazil earlier also, but yeah, I have showed you the map of Brazil. That day you and I were discussing Brazil is the largest country in South America, Latin America. We were also discussing Brazil has a shared boundary with all countries of South America except Ecuador and Chile. Yes, EC. Except Ecuador, Chile, Brazil shares a boundary with all the countries. Now, what is happening right now? Brazilian President Mr. Lula da Silva, he has visited India with one of the largest ever Brazilian delegation. What does it show? India-Brazil relations are becoming stronger and more strategic. Very good, Terukula. Brilliant. What is the focus of India-Brazil relation? Expanding bilateral trade, strengthening global South cooperation. Brazil is also a swing state like India, middle power, a part of BRICS, reforming global governance, promoting multilateralism. What about India-Brazil relations? Anything special? Yes, I have written it here, so no worries. Bilateral trade between both the countries have become a record high in 2025. Highest ever. It is about $15 billion, which is actually low. If you look at India's population 1.47 billion and Brazil's population 215 million, it is less only, but still it is record high in 25. What is the future plan? Both countries are doing free trade agreement, bilateral understanding in critical mineral technology, small and medium enterprise, AI, space cooperation, biofuels, and the health sector. Private sector participation is very strong right now. It will become in future more strong with 600 business leaders hoping to expand their business in Brazil. Then here comes the question of Mercosur. What is Mercosur? What is Mercosur? Let me write it down here. What is then Mercosur? Mercosur is, let's talk about first Mercosur, then India Mercosur. What is Mercosur? Now, Mercosur, if you look at the Spanish language, it simply means Southern Common Market. Okay? It simply means Southern because it's about South America, Southern Common Market. It is the South American Regional Trade Bloc. When was it made? 1991. 1991, liberalization, privatization. 1991, Soviet Union collapse. So 1991, Mercosur was created. Which treaty led to the creation of Mercosur? Treaty of Assumption. Can you tell me which country's capital is Assumption? Can you tell me which country has capital as the Assumption? It's very nearby in this map. Assumption. It was the Treaty of Assumption that led to the creation of Mercosur back in 1991. Now, who are the member countries of Mercosur? Very important. Who are the member countries of Mercosur? Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay, Uruguay. All these are the countries. Now, do remember, Venezuela was also, very good Reshma, Paraguay. Now, Venezuela was also a member, but recently the membership of Venezuela has been suspended. Why? Because Venezuela right now is a colony of the US after capture of Mr. Maduro. After Operation Absolute Resolve, Venezuela is gone now to US. So Venezuelan membership is currently suspended. But then who are the members? Main members: Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay, Uruguay. Signed in 1991 through Assumption Treaty. Assumption, the capital of Paraguay. Yes. What is the goal, bache? What is the goal of Mercosur? The goal is to counter trade protectionism, to create an integrated market in South America by removing trade barriers, by promoting free trade across boundaries. Now, what is special with India? India and Mercosur had signed an agreement that is called PTA. Whenever I think about PTA or the Shanti Bill, obviously I think about Eric's statement every time. PTA, Preferential Trade Agreement, was signed between India and Mercosur in 2009. I told you, global cooperations can be two types: deep integration and shallow integration. Whereas the example of deep integration is SEPA. The most narrow form of shallow integration is PTA, where two countries are now deciding to exchange goods but in limited categories, not in all the categories, to secure their sensitive areas. This becomes a PTA, preferential trade agreement. India signed this with Mercosur in 2009. Yes. Now, Brazil is a part of Mercosur. Mercosur already has a trade partnership with India. I told you PTA 2009. Yes. Now, the leader of Brazil, Mr. Silva, wants to expand and modernize that. Mercosur has also recently signed up parallel deals with European Union, EFTA, plus Singapore. If you would have seen the news, world news, you would have seen how potato farmers and rice farmers in all these Mercosur countries were shouting and doing a protest against Mercosur. Why? They were worried. Something similar to what is happening in India right now. Just like Indian farmers are worried that the deal with America will mean opening of agriculture and dairy and loss for us. Similarly, farmers and potato growers, especially in Brazil and other countries like Argentina, are worried. They feel Mercosur signing deals with EU, the four countries of Europe free zone, Liechtenstein, Switzerland, Norway, Iceland, and Singapore, will also lead to a loss to us. So therefore, they are protesting right now. They are worried about dumping in their markets. Very good. Yes. So Mercosur has signed deal with all of these. Now, India-Mercosur PTA goes back to 2009. Today, Mr. Silva, Brazilian leader, says, let us expand and modernize this deal. What does he say? He says the answer to cooperation is not trade war. It is opening up your boundaries to more trade. Both India, Brazil, they support rule-based global trade. They support World Trade Organization. They are against US. Imagine, it was India and Brazil who were the victims of 50% tariff. When America imposed tariff, they both were the worst victims ever. And they both are global south countries. They share the BRICS platform also, G20 also. They must support each other. And they are saying we will oppose unilateral sanctions and protectionist mentality of the US. They strongly support multilateral global institution in today's world. And both the countries are also appreciating India's global south leadership through the AI Impact Summit. Brazil also attended the summit. They both are saying let us not do digital colonialism. Few countries should not own AI ability. Many more countries can. AI and semiconductors should not be a tool in the hands of rich countries. It should promote social inclusion and cultural diversity. They both want reform at United Nations Security Council, and Brazil supports. Brazil strongly believes India should be a permanent member of UNSC. Yes? Now what about BRICS? India is going to now become the president of BRICS in 2026. Brazil supports expanding the BRICS cooperation in AI, health, and climate change. Both countries want a change of United Nations Security Council, and both of them are looking for permanent membership, especially for India and some African countries too. And this article also says United Nations Security Council has failed to represent the global south in a real manner. So both these big democracies, India, Brazil, one of the largest democracies, leading countries of global south, they want stronger south-south cooperation, reduced dependence on West and China, more equality in global governance, and that's why he visited India with such a big delegation. That's it. That's it. Will we remember Mercosur? Will we remember 91? Will we remember Treaty of Assumption? Yes? Okay. With reference to recent development, will we remember 2009 India Mercosur PTA? Okay. With reference to recent developments in India-Brazil relations, look at these. One, Brazil has signed first ever agreement on critical minerals with India during Mr. Lula da Silva's visit. Second, India-Brazil support rule-based multilateral trading system anchored in WTO, based in WTO. 3. Expansion of India-Mercosur PTA is a priority and the agreement has been enforced since 2009. And then 4. Brazil has opposed reform of UNSC and it does not support India's claim for permanent membership. Absolutely. No, you are totally correct, Yuvraj. BRICS is talking about an alternative currency, and that is why US is afraid of BRICS. US believes that BRICS is into de-dollarization and anti-US agenda. While many more countries like China, Russia do believe in de-dollarization, India said in my presidency, I am not going to propagate the idea of de-dollarization. Although I will talk about integration of payment systems through RBI in BRICS nations, but my agenda is right now not de-dollarization clearly. Right? Okay. Now, somebody else was also making a statement. That was a beautiful statement, Eric. How Brazil is located at the mouth of Amazon River, plus Brazil is also located in the heart of Amazon forest. That's why we had the COP30 summit in Belém, Brazil. Shlok says no split at all. And the answers are all coming in. Initiated from Reshma this time, Satya, Terukula, Shlok, Vikash, Madhav, Vineet, Aman, Rajneshwar, Chip, Taithong, Ramu, Satya, AB, Yuvraj, Ravina, Sitaram. Everybody has said C, so I have no choice but to give a big round of applause. Today, your performance has been outstanding. Outstanding, incredible, perfect, wonderful. C is the right answer. So, great, great, great performance. Hats off to your performance. I hope it's clear to everybody though. Urupam, correct. Why is C the right answer? Because we all know that fourth statement is not correct. Brazil does support India's UNSC membership as a permanent country, and India supports the same thing for Brazil. Apologies. Looks like Shlok initiated, but then that's okay. In the first three, Shlok, Reshma, and Vikash answered the question. Very good, Munna. Absolutely correct, Vineet. No, 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 no. All the texts are coming on time. Sometimes comments get here and there. Now I realize. No problem. Wonderful, but still very well answered, everyone. The rupee ruble agreement is there. Then yuan ruble agreement is there. Very good, Shakti. Very good, Vineet. Phenomenal is the word for this performance. So brilliant. Last article for the day. This is not an article. I will call this as a case study. And which UPSC GS paper will I relate this to? I think all of us should relate it to GS3, ecology, climate mitigation. We must also relate it to GS2, urbanization, and the role of Panchayati Raj institutions. Yes, quickly let's break this article. No, you should be. That's a very good quality. I love when my students are competitive. Do become competitive. This is the time to be competitive. Nothing wrong in that. Well done. Okay, the last article for the day. Let's focus jaldi se, quickly. Okay, so the last article for the day is talking about how in India we initiated the Panchayati Raj Act. In 1992, we created two amendments, 73rd and 74th. Why? Because we wanted to create local self-government at the village and at the urban level, at the city level. So we had the ULB, municipal corporations in the cities, 74th amendment, and we had the Gram Sabha, 73rd amendment. Very good, Satya. Lord Ripon, the father of local self-government. Very, very good. Then we talk about Schedule 11th and 12th of the Constitution. Excellent, Vikash and Eric and Ramu. Brilliant. Now, what is going on here in this article? This article is giving you case studies. Which case studies are these? These are certain case studies coming from certain areas. And which areas am I talking about? So we are talking about areas like the Bela Gram Panchayat, Maharashtra, Perind Janam, Kerala, Siari, Jharkhand, and Bihar and Karnataka. All these four panchayats have proven that by utilizing local funds, they have done tremendous contribution to reducing their carbon footprint. And in the news, especially, it is written that there is a special panchayat which is known as the Bela Gram Panchayat. This is in the Vidarbha region of Maharashtra. Today, it has become India's first, I repeat, India's first net zero panchayat. Net zero panchayat. This is a wonderful achievement. This shows how panchayats can create such an important role in mobilizing the local people in combating climate change. Now, Bela Gram Panchayat achieved this distinction by planting 90,000 trees during weddings and other festivals. Plus, it advocates for a smooth energy transition from using chulhas, from using traditional cooking mechanisms into using LPG. People are taking a proactive action, spending money and installing solar rooftop panels at homes. They are promoting zero carbon initiative at Anganwadi and Panchayat office. So this means Belagram Panchayat in Maharashtra has become first to be the first such net zero panchayat in India. India's first. That's a great case study we can see here. Now there are other villages also, like in Kerala, for example. 850 households were able to provide solar rooftop panel. Similar is true of Jharkhand, a village called Siari. Siari is also home to the Birhor tribal community. What is Birhor? I told you long back. Birhor is a PVTG, particularly vulnerable tribal group. 80 years after India's independence, Birhor got electricity. Amazing. After 80 years of independence, Birhor tribals finally got electricity recently. Now, these Birhor tribals are also reducing their dependence on diesel pump and they are shifting towards solar pump. They have installed 72 solar based street light and school solar systems and planted 2,880 mango trees, 800 fruit trees to provide forest livelihoods to people. And something similar is true of Bihar's Gadhi forest. That's what these people are doing. All of these people have given a great case study, an example to Indian cities, an example to Indian citizens that by promoting local mobilization and a real desire to change, change can come. So, change rather than being implemented top down can also start bottom to top. That's the whole idea behind cooperative federalism. And that's it for today's Hindu newspaper. Yes, the Chipko movement, Uttarakhand, absolutely. Absolutely. So it shows that climate solutions are not only national or global, they can actually start at the village level. Okay, so that's it for today. That's it for today. And I take your leave. Do remember 26th, we are also beginning our 26, 2027 and 2028 UPSC batches. And if you want a wonderful discount, then you can enroll by using my code SPLIVE to get maximum discount. Remember, the batch begins on 26th for both 27 and 28. Yeah, we are ending on a very positive note today. Yes. So many movements, Apiko, we talk about Chipko movement, all these they highlight the spirit of down to top. Okay. Absolutely. Even though they don't have resources, but still they are proactive in taking actions. It's a shame on those who don't take an action. US withdrew from Paris Climate Agreement, and it is these people who are becoming the new global leaders by leaving behind such a strong footprint. Yes. Thank you so much for the lovely session. I'll see you on Monday at 9:30 a.m. Lots of love and blessings. Take rest. Enjoy your weekend. But do keep the curiosity on. Learn, study, enjoy your studies, use maps, diagrams, talk to each other. Okay? Yes. Monday, I'm doing a PYQ marathon. So, a lot of my students were talking about why we did not have January current affairs. It was because of this only. Yes, Santosh Bacha, I have spoken to you about this. Now, I will cover in the PYQ marathon. Sorry, not PYQ actually, it's a current affairs marathon. So, I'll cover all the topics there. Everything will come on Zoom now. So here we'll do basic initiatives, of course. Zoom, we can have one-on-one initiatives for specific queries. I'll let you know. Okay? So bless you, each one of you. Stay blessed, stay happy. Lots of love to everyone. I'll meet you on Monday, 9:30 a.m.